Welcome back. America have a point on the board, and don't they need it? They now trail by 6 points to 2. We've got the best in the world representing the USA and Europe gathered here in Manchester, showing off some stunning skills and great excitement in that first match, a sudden death playoff. Time for our second match and our first doubles match of this tournament. Back to Cass Edwards and Wayne Boyce.
So 6-1 down at the start of the day, but that victory from Wes Malott means the United States could pull from 5 behind to within 3, and that is what they would feel would be a strikeable distance. So first doubles action of Party Poker Weber Cup 2016, and Cass, just worth an explanation of the format of how this works.
Thanks, Wayne. Yes, it's what they call Scotch doubles. The example being that Wes Malott may shoot the first ball, and if he doesn't strike, Marshall Kent will have to pick up the spare. So Marshall will be hoping that Wes will be doing striking. It'll be the same for the Europeans as well. If a player does strike, then the order changes in the next frame. But we'll see that as it goes along. It's straightforward. The guys have all played this before. As I say, it's lead-off man and the second man to take the spare.
Second game in a busy afternoon for Wes Malott. He will feature 4 times. He's up and running with a victory against Stu Williams in the most dramatic of circumstances, winning in the sudden death shootout. And now the first bowl of a Weber Cup doubles match for the European rookie Jesper Svensson, who certainly didn't bowl like a rookie yesterday when he beat Carl Troop in the Battle of the Rookies. Left-handed two-hander goes straight into the pocket, and a strike for Europe immediately.
An absolute great looking shot from the two-handed left-hander. Wraps his hands around those balls, puts loads of rotation on it, extends down through the lane. Fantastic reaction in the back end. A lazy 7-pin, but it's gone for 10, and counts 30 pins for the tattooed boy from Sweden.
Just 21 years of age, looks to have a fantastic future ahead. Here's Malott. He started brilliantly in his singles match, but he wins the 10-pin this time.
Just the 9 for Big Wes, and of course the spare has to be taken by his partner, Marshall Kent. So he will hope that whoever bowls first leaves a makeable spare. They certainly don't want to see any splits that they have to bowl at. A 9 spare here will score 19 pins under the new World Bowling Scoring System.
Marshall Kent, the 23-year-old from South Carolina, takes away the spare. Well, we're wondering if he's fouled there, Cass, because we certainly heard a buzzer.
He's hit the foul line and the buzzer's gone off. It will count as 0. It may be a chance for the new referee, Nicky Ainge, to come in and make a decision.
Well, let's take a look here.
Watch his toes. Yes, over the line. And that is the foul. You see the lights come on. What happened was he slid and then stuck and went over the foul line. That counts as 0. So the score for Team USA in frame 1 is a 9 miss, 9.
What a disastrous start that is in the first frame for the United States. They must be thinking, can anything else go wrong for us? After a terrific start that Malott made, it's advantage Europe in the first doubles. Just leaves up the 7-pin.
Well, it was pretty close, and Stuart can see the funny side of that not going. What did I do wrong? Starts way left on the approach with his feet and gives the ball loads of room right in the pocket. And the 4-pin just totally misses that 7-pin. It's the two-handed left-hander with a hard spare ball. We're going straight across the lane, right to left for this 7-pin. Not looking for hardly any movement at all. Takes the spare away nicely, and that counts as 19. And the Europe score moves to 49 in the second frame.
Well, now we need a response from the United States after that mistake from Marshall Kent. Saw his foot slide through the foul line and leave them with an open frame.
Yeah, Wayne, that's a very unusual thing. He may go the whole season and never actually do that. But his first shot here today, and it's a foul, unfortunately. Big Wes has stepped up and hit a strike, trying to recover that score, and so it will be Marshall Kent that has to stand up next time and shoot the first ball. When a player strikes, they change the order of play.
Well, he certainly seems to be enjoying this all pattern, Wes Malott.
Yeah, it's 45 feet long, the all pattern, and this is the second game being played on it. Stu Williams rings another 10 pin in the corner. First of all, he's left the 7 pin, now he's left the 10 pin. I wonder what his favourite number is.
There's plenty of quizzical looks from him down the lane in the singles match, and it's the same again. He just keeps leaving those singles up.
Like most of these top professionals that play the world over for a living, they expect to strike on pretty much every single shot. And yes, they do look surprised when they occasionally leave the odd corner pin.
Yes, but Svensson at the moment is playing the role of spare taker.
Well, 19 pins every frame, or with a lead, will keep them in the lead. Up steps Marshall Kent for his first shot at a rack of 10 pins, and if he strikes here and scores 30, will take the lead for Team USA, despite that open frame in frame number 1.
Winner of 1 PBA title so far, 2014 in Saudi Arabia. One of the newcomers to this USA team, and he leaves the spare. The 10 pin remains up. Well, he's had his struggles so far here, Marshall Kent. Beaten by Stuart Williams in the singles yesterday. Malott takes away the spare.
So it's 10 pins the difference after 3 frames.
Can be a frustrating doubles game, this, can't it, if your opponent keeps leaving spares all the time?
Well, this is it. You don't get a shot at a full rack of pins at 10 pins, so you can never bowl a strike. So it kind of sort of sets you back in your seat a bit if you're staying there shooting spares all the game.
Stu Williams then, 10 pin advantage for Svensson and Williams at the moment, the European pair. It's a great shot.
Second strike of the match for the European duo. Extends their score to 98.
And that will give Svensson a look at all 10 for his next shot.
Stu's getting an awful lot of reaction in the back end. He's standing way left with his feet on the approach, using the whole of the lane, bowling what we call coast to coast, getting that ball to come back to the pocket.
He could do with a strike here, Marshall Kent. But he doesn't get one, just leaves the spare.
Well, yeah. Looks as though he got a bit caught up in the lane, or the ball just sailed and it got to the head pin but didn't drive in behind it. It just carried on. Very light hit, and is very fortunate to break up that 2 and a 10 pin split. Just leaves a single pin for Wes Malott to spare.
It's been that kind of weekend at the moment for Marshall Kent, who's probably 10% down on where he'd want to be. And that is an awful lot at this level.
Yep, 21 pins is the difference after 4 frames. Now, Svensson to come up and shoot first. The big two-handed left-hander with a slightly ungainly looking style. Waddles up the approach, a little bit sort of duck-like, but once that ball's gone.
70% strike rate in his singles victory yesterday against Kyle Troop. He's had his most lucrative year so far on the PBA Tour in 2016. Great shot!
2 strikes in a row for the European side, and a great looking shot there from Jesper Svensson, new boy in the European side. Probably the hottest property in world bowling at this particular time, at only 21 years of age. His greatest victory came last year in the PBA Tournament of Champions in the United States, and a rather large cheque that went with it.
He certainly isn't playing like the new boy, is he? Jesper Svensson. Now Marshall Kent still looking for that elusive strike today, and it remains elusive.
Yeah, they're just not quite carrying, unfortunately, are they? They're playing reasonably well. They just can't carry 10 pins. That's 3 single pins in a row that the big nasty is going to have to bowl at. And unfortunately, they're only scoring 19 pins every time it's a 9 spare, whereas the Europeans are picking up 30 pins every time they get a strike. So that's the big difference in the scoring system.
Yeah, 32-point advantage for the European pair.
Now just see where Stewart's standing. He's way left on the approach. He's almost touching that ball return with his knee. Look at that. There's certainly no more room over there. Lofts it out to the right of the lane and gets a tap on the 10 pin, but it won't go over. Dear oh dear. Stewart sees the funny side of it, but it's only a spare after 2 strikes. So yeah, look at that. And then he moves further left as well, almost outside the line of the ball return. Such a great amount of width he's using.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? He walks alongside it and then steps in front. It's
as if the approach is not wide enough for him. Svensson to make the spare. No trouble.
Takes them to 147. But they really do need to start striking here, the Americans, and that is down to Marshall Kent, who at the moment keeps leaving spares.
Yeah, the European side have got 3 strikes, so that's 90 pins for a starter, and the Americans have only got the 1 strike, which is 30, so in strikes alone the Europeans are way ahead.
Yeah, 6 strikes, 3 spares and 1 open frame. The open frame, of course, when he stepped across the line. I was about to say that's more like it, but he's left the 10 pin again in the corner.
It's very much the angle that the ball is coming into the 1-3 pocket. See how wide left he is on the approach with his feet, and he's playing sort of almost the Stuart Williams line. Not quite in the pocket, leaves the 10 pin standing, wobbling in the corner, and it can only be another single pin spare for Wes Malott.
And Malott finding himself in that frustrating position as spare maker. 147, 115.
3 strikes for the Europeans, only 1 for the Americans, but they're sparing nicely. 4 9 spares in a row.
It's very much advantage, though. The European pairing here, going to pick up the first doubles point of the Party Poker Weber Cup 2016, although he's left the spare, Stu Williams.
Well, that's all right. I mean, it will be 19 pins and they've got a super lead, so let's just keep it going, keep it clean. As long as they don't have any open frames. It costs so many pins, as we saw when the Americans had that open frame in frame number 1, where Marshall Kent put his foot over the foul line in error and scored 0.
Just 4 strikes so far in this first doubles game, 3 of them European strikes. Svensson takes away the spare. 166 now for Europe. It's a long way back for the USA, but it's not gone yet. No, Marshall Kent needs to find one soon, Cass.
Wayne, I was just going to say, yeah, they certainly need to get some strikes together. They've only got 4 frames to go. And I can't see the Europeans giving it up. They're hitting the pocket pretty regularly. Really needs a strike here for the new boy.
Finally he gets one on the board, Marshall Kent. Another do an awful lot for his mental state of mind. He's certainly been through the ringer a bit in this doubles.
it will please Wes Malott as well, because Wes would now stand up and not shoot a spare. He can shoot at 10 pins because he will take over as the lead player. Well, they look quite happy and satisfied, but they are 21 pins adrift. Stu Williams looks really determined, doesn't he? Lofts the ball out with lots of rotation on it and carries all 10 pins. How about that? Well done, Stuart.
They really do have a habit, the Europeans, and every time the door is left slightly ajar, they slam it shut again.
Yeah, it kind of hit them thin, made him spin on that shot, but he doesn't mind. It's 30 pins. Almost through the 200 barrier.
Carl Troop involved in a deep conversation. Great shot from Malott. And it's exactly what the United States pairing needed after Williams' last strike.
2 strikes in a row brings the Americans back to within 21 pins of Europe, but with only 2 frames to go. Both teams working on a strike, and it's the strike machine in the shape of Jesper Svensson from Sweden who's going to stand up and shoot in the foundation frame.
PBA Rookie of the Year last year, 2 titles, cashed in 6 of 9 events. And has earned nearly $150,000 in just 3 seasons. Oh, it's a great shot again from the 2-hander, and another strike for Team Europe.
It was certainly a valuable shot, yes, in the 9th frame. 2 strikes in a row, another 30 pins. Takes the European score to 226 with a frame to go.
Worth noting, Cass, that Svensson is up again next in the singles against this man, Marshall Kent. He won the Battle of the Rookies yesterday against Carl Troop. And he's got another one coming up against Kent, so he'll be desperate to find a bit of form ahead of what will be a really tough singles match against the Swede. Again, it came in really early and straight through the head pin. He just cannot get any consistency in his game at the moment.
Yeah, it's struggling just a little bit with this pattern. Overreaction in the back end there. Straight through the face of the number 1 pin. Leaves it 3 and a 6, so it can only be a spare. And unfortunately, that will not be enough to overhaul the European side. Unfortunately, the maximum score of Team USA is only 223, and the Europeans are already sitting on 226. So the match is already won before we get to the 10th frame. They'll just bowl it out, and the crowd are encouraging the European team just to shoot another strike.
And they do.
And Stuart Williams obliges. 256 is a big doubles game for Williams and Svensson. Great bowling.
Well, and having seen Malott win that dramatic game against Stu Williams to pull it back to 6-2, Beef Stew returns to winning ways in the doubles here with Jesper Svensson, and Europe will enjoy a 5-point advantage again.
Now this last shot, not that it's going to count at all for Marshall Kent, is a totally experimental shot. He's gone out and got another ball. He knows he's playing the next game, so this is going to be a trial error to see if he can get some reaction on the pin deck. I spoke earlier about getting the speed right, the accuracy, and then the repeatability. Something he hasn't managed to do so far in this doubles game. He's up next, and this is a very important learning ball. Well, he learns how to get 9, but it wasn't a bad looking shot. He's just suffering with what they call pin carry at the moment.
Yeah, it just keeps leaving a spare, doesn't he? Just the 1 strike so far for Marshall Kent. Malott is going to take the spare away, but
he's actually bowling it left-handed. How about that? And makes the spare with his left hand.
That's just too good. Well, it's another point for Europe. 7-2, they now lead, and cast frustration for the Americans.
Absolutely, yeah. They played quite a good-looking game, but it was Europe once again, the massive 2-56.
So the singles next, it's Svensson against Kent, and it's up right after the break.